Today, we're bringing you the unstoppable, no nonsense Alyson Van Hooser to the mic. Alyson is on a mission, and might I say a sold out mission to help leaders thrive in our fast evolving post pandemic world. As the president and CEO of Vanhooser Associates, Alyson is a trusted expert who knows how to lead people through the challenging time that we're living inside of. From early management days at Walmart to leadership success in finance and her role as an elected city council member, all by the age of 26, she has walked the talk and owned it. And as I said in the podcast, this is an old soul. Alyson delivers powerful, practical strategies to help captivate you, connect, and inspire, whether you're rallying your team or wowing your customers. And if you're ready to get results, Alyson talks about taking action now. So buckle up. This episode is packed with insights to drive change, real results in your life and in your business. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Power Your Profits podcast, your friendly guide in bringing your business revenue to the next level. Listen as host Dr. Susie Carder hears inspiring stories of success from her fellow entrepreneurs and transformational leaders. Prepare to make significant change to your strategies as they unravel the secrets of building multi-million-dollar businesses and the most effective tips on finance, marketing, and sales accountability. If you want to take your first steps towards explosive business growth, this podcast is for you. Without further ado, here is your host, Dr. Susie.
So, Alyson, you're on a mission to help leaders succeed post-pandemic. So, talk about your own journey, especially your early career success, and how that shaped how you approach leadership in today's, it is pretty complex environment.
You're absolutely right, especially post-COVID. So something that I've just been wired to do from the very beginning is to study people and always be willing to adapt in order to meet someone where they are. Not change my character, not change my goals, but adapt my approach in order to meet them where they are, get their buy-in, help them and myself achieve a better future. And that is very much our philosophy in our company right now. It's how we develop leaders to lead teams of all different sizes, whether it's a team of 2 or 20,000 across the globe. Either way, what we know is that the world today requires a very human approach when it comes to keeping great employees. And so we help them connect with people of all different shapes, sizes, and backgrounds.
Yeah, I was talking to a client before this, and we were talking about, she said, my biggest growth this year is I sucked at as a leader, and I didn't even know that I sucked as a leader until I really started looking at the importance of it. And I think a lot of times we don't look at that. We're in our widget and gadget, managing our KPIs, and it's almost like an afterthought of what are we doing and how are we doing it. So talk about, what are the key elements that you see that we as entrepreneurs and business owners, whether you're part of a leadership team or whether you're leading 10 or 100, doesn't matter, right? Leader is leader. Talk about what are the key elements we should be focusing on in this season, because it is a volatile season, right? We all see that in the world today.
I think being crystal clear on your competitive advantage, your uniqueness in the market is absolutely critical. But then also something that I've even learned firsthand is realizing that I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I've got to let my team run and go and do and give them the tools in order to be able to do that well. I think one of the things that I've learned is, even as we've grown our own team, is that you got to pick the things that are most important to you and let the other stuff go. Whether what's most important to you is the branding aspect, or if it's holding certain customers' hands, you've got to be very clear about that, but then literally let the rest go. Delegate so that they can all move the organization forward.
Okay, so you have a kind of a unique business, and it's unique that you work with family. You actually bought the company from your father-in-law, and you continue to work for him. So not only did you buy it, but you're also like the leader of the father-in-law. Can you share some insights on how you guys successfully work as a family and how you navigate balancing his legacy with your own vision for the business?
I don't know if you've heard this story or not, Susie, but I met my father-in-law back whenever I was a teenager. So I married his one and only oldest son. His name is Joe. And the very first time I had dinner with Phil, I had sat down at the table. It was me and Joe. It was Phil and his wife, Susan, and Joe's two younger sisters. And just in normal conversation, Phil asked the question of me. He asked, Alyson, tell me about your family. And I'm 16 at this point. I'm as ignorant as can be, not stupid, but just didn't know any better. So when he asked that question, my mind just starts rolling. I already knew that Joe and I came from two different sides of the tracks. We had two totally different raisings. And so when he asked me that question, tell me about your family, the first thing I thought was, he's going to find out. He's going to find out that I don't belong here. Like, this is going to be my last night with the man of my dreams. But then the other thought was, I'm not going to tell a lie. That's not who I am. And then next, the voices in my head were Reba McEntire and Marshall Mathers. They were speaking to me, and I was thinking, I'm just going to tell it how it is. I'm just going to tell the truth. I said, Phil, I guess you'd say my family is white trash. And then I just ducked my head back down to my food and just started around thinking, move on. Like, this is awkward now. And Phil, I remember out of my peripheral vision, I could see him pull his napkin up from out of his lap, wipe off his face, and lay it down on top of his full plate of food. And he got up and walked out. As he was walking out, he just said, not in this house. And he walked out. And I immediately knew I had done something. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I've done something wrong. And long story short, we don't have time for all the details. We ended up having a conversation right before Joe was about to take me home. And Phil just said, there's a few things you need to know. Number one, I'm the leader of this house. I don't know about your family, but in my family, I'm the leader, and I have to set the tone as far as what we do and don't do here. And when you said at the table that your family was white trash, I needed my little girls and my son to know that we don't think of people that way, that nobody here is trash. The next thing he said was, I owe you an apology. I probably embarrassed you in front of Joe and in front of Susan, Sarah, and Sophie. And I probably didn't handle that the right way. And I wanted to be sure that I tell you that I'm sorry. And that was not my intent. But the final thing that he said was, Alyson, I think the thing that I thought after I left the table and I was just trying to figure out how to navigate this, the thing that couldn't escape me was the fact that you're going to leave here. And you came into this house obviously seeing yourself as trash, but you're not going to leave this house this way. He said, you may feel like you can never come back here, but I want you to know that you are not trash, that you have value, and that you always have a seat at my table.
Aww,
I know.
Love him.
I know. And those words never left me because it just sort of solidified in my mind that Phil and I are always going to tell each other the truth, even when it's hard. And it meant that even when things are hard, we can come back together. We can leave the situation, but then we're coming back. Same team, same dream. He would now say same name, same game.
Right.
But I think through all of the transition that we've experienced, Phil likes to laughingly joke and say, I now report to Alyson. She's my boss. Through all of that, through all of it, Phil and I are very much focused on helping people be more successful, helping them grow a bigger impact throughout their teams and the lives of the people that they care for. And with that in mind, the conversations we have to have are sometimes uncomfortable, but we have the same goal in mind. And that makes both of us know that no matter what, we're coming back to the same table at the end of the day.
I love it, man. That's awesome. What a great for you coming from where you came from and just to have this acceptance, unconditional love and acceptance. Like that's what we all crave, but we don't experience it a lot of time. Most of the time people are judging us and where we come from, what we do, our accolades versus our humanity. And what a great example for you and for your children and for your life of, setting you up to be a powerful businesswoman.
So true. Now I need to go tell Phil thank you once again, because those are wise words.
Yes. So let's talk about in terms of business structure. What have been the biggest challenges or shifts to ensure that the company runs effectively in a complex post-pandemic landscape?
So there's two different ways to look at this. If we were teaching an organization, probably the biggest shift in leadership that we've seen is that my way or the highway doesn't work anymore. that
Right.
people don't come onto your team and you say, this is my leadership style, and now they have to adapt, but rather people come onto your team and you're spending intentional time with them saying, what do you need from me in order to operate at the highest level? So that shift on the higher you move up, the more adapting you have to do continues to be incredibly challenging, but also one of the best return on investment actions that someone can take in business. Now, for internally, if we're talking to small entrepreneurs, small business, as we've navigated this transition, I think realizing that I'm setting the direction from here on out, and it doesn't always mean it has to be a group decision on how we move forward. That if I see a path, if I see a way that I can, if I was to use the Alyson term, I would say lay down the law and say, here's where we're headed. And it's the responsibility of all of us to get on board and see that vision through. Now, I am intentional about choosing a vision that's going to be incredible for the people that we serve and good for us and our families. So with that in mind, it's made it almost easy for us to bring new people on our team and say, let's get started.
You're listening to another episode of Power Your Profits podcast. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Overwhelmed by the complexity of business profit strategies? Jump aboard the Bullet Train to Big Profits course, a streamlined solution by Dr. Susie Carder. This course is designed to uncomplicate the path to profitability. Imagine being able to identify and execute profit strategies with ease, skyrocketing your revenues. Visit course.poweryourprofits.com and sign up for the Bullet Train to Big Profits course today. Are you tired of struggling to take your business to the next level? Power Your Profits is the game-changing book you've been waiting for. Dr. Susie Carder, creator of the Predictable Success Method, reveals her proven strategies for explosive growth. From daily operations to marketing systems, this comprehensive guide empowers you to achieve predictable revenue and profit growth. Don't miss out on this invaluable wisdom. Transform your business today. Find your copy at books.poweryourprofits.com.
I love it. So you teach both your father-in-law's original content and your own. We have a lot of speakers, authors, writers in here. How have you developed your material, and what's the unique insight that you bring to the table versus, I don't want to say old school, but he has an incredible accolades, incredible journey, like great content. So what's your unique insight that you're bringing to the table?
One of the things I did from the very beginning is Phil had a definition of leadership that was the foundation on which everything else that we taught was built on. And I have found that we had to redefine leadership in our world today. Going back to what I said a moment ago about what's so challenging about leading in the business world today is that the higher you go up, the more you have to adapt to other people. So I had someone who had built their life on, this is my work, my body, my breadth of work. I came in and started shaking up the very foundation of it all and said, we've got to be more focused. Now, my approach, the content that I've added to it so far is definitely a millennial perspective. How do we talk differently? How do we think differently? How do we work differently? And bridging those gaps is definitely where my sweet spot is in connecting people.
Well, I think that's powerful, right? When I look at the hundreds and thousands of clients that we coach, I'm more in Phil's age group, right? But my workforce is your age group and younger.
Yes.
To go, how do I navigate that and not feel like the old lady, right? And how do I keep relevant? And it is a skill set, right? I can't, like you said, our old leadership style was leave it at the door, my way or the highway. And you're right, it doesn't work. So I think that's huge. And it's very insightful of Phil to go, we need some different talent at the table, right? Mm-hmm. I know that my team has so much more talent, different talent, right? We all bring this amazing expertise. And when you can work in collaboration, your business grows quicker, faster, right?
So true.
So let's talk about, you mentioned your work reveals practical, actionable strategies for leaders. So can you share one or two strategies that leaders might overlook, but are powerful tools for connecting and motivating their teams?
Sure. The thing that immediately comes to mind, one of the things that actually Phil originally developed, but now I'm teaching and preaching all across the United States, is our listening technique. One of the things we believe is that great listeners don't just listen well, they make others feel heard. Because there's two different things. You can regurgitate what someone says to you and someone feel like you couldn't care less, which makes them not want to work and support you. But often, unintentionally, we'll listen and we can hear what they're saying, but there's a disconnect. And so I'll give you a quick example of this. Anybody who's ever used the phrase, walk with me, talk with me. You might be a leader who is listening, but you're not connecting.
Right.
You might be able to regurgitate what's said, but people feel like, do I even really matter here? Did they really hear? Did they really care? So a practical step that we teach, a practical technique would be our 3-step listening technique. And I'm going through this very quickly. But the first step of that is the look. The look. It means anytime someone comes to talk with you, you're stopping what you're doing. We no longer multitask. That's not what good leaders do. If someone comes to talk with us, we stop what we're doing and we square up. We make eye contact. We don't say, let me just finish up this email really quick. Just start talking. I can hear and do this as well. We don't say, walk with me, talk with me, because in both of those interactions, we're unintentionally sending a message that something or someone else is more important than what you have to say. And often, if we think about that interaction, someone has likely taken some amount of time. And for a lot of people, they've had to work up some amount of courage to go talk to the boss. And you've just written them off. So first is the look. Second is the pause. When you go to the pause, you know that it's time for you to go to the pause, because the person who came to talk with you is going to ask you a question. Something like, do I have your permission, Dr. Susie? Is it okay if what do you think? And that is your signal to go to step number 2, the pause. Now, the pause is going to last 3 to 5 seconds. You break eye contact. You are going to actually think about what they've said. You'll think about what they've said on average for about 5 seconds. But the reality is sometimes people come ask you a question you've heard a million times before, and you don't need to think. And that's where I will say, you still pause. You still pause, because this is not about you. This is about connecting with them. And if you're quick to answer, they may think you weren't even listening. You didn't even consider what I was saying. You think you know everything. And none of that is helpful to building a stronger relationship. So you pause. If you don't have anything to think about, then in your head, you'll go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi in your head. I'll remind you.
Yeah.
And then at 3, you're back. You're locked in, you're making eye contact. And then you go to step number 3, which is the question. The question is where you restate what they said to you. And when you execute the question, you make sure you never have a communication breakdown again in your organization. Because Dr. Susie, if you come to me and say, can I have $50,000 for this project next year? And I don't ask the question, but I understood you to say 15,000. I tell you, yes, you submit an invoice for 50. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to come back to you and say, I told you we could do 15. And every ounce of your being is saying, no, you didn't. You said 50. Here's what I know. That listening technique, practical, the look, the pause, the question. You can immediately do it. And when you do, you will be better connected to your team. So those are the kinds of things that we teach in everyday interactions. You're either connecting or disconnecting. And we hope that we provide things that make sense and that can be repeated throughout the entire organization.
Well, what I love about this, I've been using this for 30 years, right? It's in part of our $100,000 consultation. And we call it that because people sign $100,000 contracts after they, learn our needs assessment, needs analysis. And every single person says to me, Alyson, you listen so well. And what I do exactly that. And I write down everything they say and I repeat it back. And they're like, oh my God, how did you know? You told me. It was magic. And I tell my clients all the time, it is magic. And so it seems so simple. And I think that's where people go, oh, I do it. Well, do you do it? Right? Do you really take that time? And I love it because we're always listening, going, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? Versus stopping and saying, wait, did you say this or did you say that? It's so incredibly powerful. You, my friend, are an old soul in a young body for sure. Have you heard that before?
I have heard that lots of times. It's funny that you said that.
So you've worked with Walmart, you've worked in financial industries, right? You've even worked with the city council. What's been your most valuable lesson from managing and leading people across all industries? And how are you bringing those into the content and context that you're developing now?
I think an underlying lesson that I continue to learn is that you can be you can have difficult circumstances, you can be under-resourced, but there are always people who are worse off than you, but who are performing better than you because they chose to take the action. When they felt like there's not enough resources, there's not a way, I don't have enough support, etc. There are people out there who are doing it. So oftentimes we know what we can do, but it's our mindset that gets in the way. I'd be interested in your perspective, how often mindset affects the success that businesses achieve.
Right. Don't you believe that is probably 80% of someone's success, right? I come from that other side of the track, right? We were raised poor, and I don't mean the kind of poor that, where people go, I didn't know I was poor. Oh no, we knew we were poor. Like we were government cheese, right? We were drinking powdered milk. And, early on, I started just working on my wealth mindset, my abundance mindset. And it was way before law of attraction. But I'm like, what I did know is I didn't want to grow up like that. What I did know is I wanted to provide something different for myself and my family and my future. And I worked on that. I didn't get my doctorate until 2 years ago, right? Okay. So the more you earn, the more you learn. It was a constant of let's get education. Let me find the people I resonate with, like you, to go, how can they help me go to that next level? And it is that stinking thinking, right? And if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I know those sound like cliche, but those were the things that got me from my limiting belief of I'm not smart enough, good enough, I didn't come from the right family or the right track, that allowed me to have a life that's unrecognizable, right? I look at myself and I look at my brothers and sisters, completely different lives, because I chose the mindset of I will be prosperous, I will create this, I will make it happen. So it is a huge part of people's success, right? From if you look at statistically, I should not be in the wealth category that I'm at. I should not be living the life that I am, but I didn't know any better, right? When I was married, my grandma said, she pulled my husband aside, Alyson, and she goes, the day of the wedding, girl, the day of the wedding, she pulled my husband aside and said, I don't know why you're marrying her. She don't listen.
Oh my gosh. I love your grandmother sounds funny, sassy, a little bit sassy.
See, you know where I get it from. But it's true. It's like, wait, I don't want to take no as no. I want to understand. And I think finding leaders like you, finding leaders like inside your organization to help really uncover your genius, because that's really what you guys do, is how do I highlight someone's genius and get the best? Like you said early on, I want to find out who do I need to be so that they can adapt to this culture and this success as a leader versus jump through my hoop. Right? Because if you just tell them to jump through a hoop, they're not going to jump through the hoop. But you're going to have resistance if you tell them to jump through the hoop.
Yes, I think more often than not, especially at work inside of a company, our purpose lies far more in the people that we get to cross paths with rather than our technical job. And I think whenever you start having that type of mindset, you can achieve some really incredible things.
So tell me, what excites you the most about your future and the role that you're playing leading it forward? And what is the greatest opportunity for growth and impact that you guys are looking forward to?
So we have carved out our unique space inside of the leadership development industry, in that a lot of marketers will tell you that you need to niche down. You need to have this very specific one problem you solve. And what we have found is that the reason clients love working with us is because we have comprehensive solutions. You don't have to piece things together in order to build your management team. We come with a foundation across everything that we teach, and we build on top of that so you can trust the work that we do. So the thing I'm most excited about is probably what we talked about the start of this podcast, which is our online learning platform. We're going to be able to equip leaders across the globe in just a matter of weeks. We're going to be able to do that and launch that. So my hope is that I've dedicated my life to developing more successful managers and supervisors, to equipping them to be able to drive results with and through other people. And that, to me, it's exciting, but more than anything, it fills me with peace, because I feel like that's my purpose here on earth. And I feel like whenever we understand what our purpose is and we go after it full force, the possibilities are limitless. And at the end of the day, we can put our head down and say, might not have checked everything off the list, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's enough for me.
Amen, sister. What I love is I always tell my clients, it doesn't have to be hard. It has to be strategic and systemic. And that's what you just spoke to, is let's have the system in place, follow the system, like our 3-step system: look, pause, question. It's a system, right? And how you implement it makes the biggest difference in your business. And when you can fall back on those things, that's when you have that duplicatable success versus this one-hit wonder, right? And Phil built a great company, and it wasn't a one-hit wonder because you came in and was able to elevate it to that next level. So I'm proud of you as a sister in the journey, because this is a journey, especially being a powerful businesswoman in business and working with corporations and being a little dynamo, because people judge you for just being this little thing, right? You're too young, you're too this, you're too that. And you're like, let me show you.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm like your grandmother.
Exactly. So how can people get a hold of you, Alyson, and your company?
You can reach all of us at vanhooser.com. Our contact information is there. So we believe we cross people's path for a reason. If there's a way I can help you or your listeners, I'll be happy to have a conversation.
Thank you. What a great episode, right? Alyson took us a little behind the scenes of building a legacy business, because we all want to do that, balancing family dynamics, building the kind of leadership strategies that stand the test of time, from navigating nuances to planning, right? Taking over Phil's vision and then crafting a new vision. The insights were pure gold and fun, right? That practical look, pause, question, right? That's what I love, is like, let me go out and be a game changer with simple solutions. If Alyson's words light you on fire, because she lit me on fire, got chills when she's talking about Phil and his story and how he included her, created the inclusivity versus exclusivity. Share this episode with fellow leaders, entrepreneurs that are looking to make a real impact. You don't have to be in business by yourself. You're just in business for yourself. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Trust us, you don't want to miss what's coming up. We've got amazing guests all the time, like Alyson, right, who are helping us tune in and take charge, right? Keep pushing the boundaries of what it means to lead with purpose, passion, and a whole lot of drive. Alyson, you are a sister from another mister. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your candid honesty. Thank you for being my guest, and thank you for who you are in the world.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Power Your Profits podcast. Let these building blocks from today's most successful industry leaders equip you with the necessary resources and tools to finally establish the highly profitable business of your dreams. Want to hear more? Listen to more episodes at www.poweryourprofitspodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. Now is your time to rise to the top of your game. So be sure to catch our next episode. Until next time.